Let's try this one more time. Hello, everybody, and this is my second shot at 111. So 111 is going to be a interesting one. So, boys and girls and everything, I'm your humble Mike Kamal here on a Saturday night at about 11:45. I wanted to take the last 15 minutes of my day to talk about, well, part of my last 15 minutes of the day to talk about something that just happened today and just recently. So, for those of you who are into cinema and to pop culture and to movies of all ages and, of the many generations, we actually just lost a silver screen icon today at the age of 90. Um, I'm here to say we have officially lost the first James Bond, Indiana Jones's father, Henry Jones, Dr. Henry Jones, Marco Ramius, Jimmy Malone, and many other um, great film roles played by this man, and that is none other than the late Sean Connery. So, for those of you who know him well, for those of you who watch his movies, whether it be Bond, The Untouchables, The Hunt for Red October, The Fence, Madison Man, and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Um, the the Anderson tapes, which was an interesting one back then. Which is an interesting movie. It was kind of a screwy movie. Um, Spoilers. I believe he dies in that one, and I think in the offense, I think he does a. And I think in the offense, he's investigating murders in Britain. So and he was in a total. Oh yeah, and he played King Arthur, um, and a bunch of other in a small role. I think in one of the movies, I forget which one it was, but I forget if it was Braveheart or one of the earlier ones. And then he played The Rock, where he plays Mason to not that Mason from Call of Duty, but um, to help out Nicolas Cage and Stanley Goodspeed and a bunch of people actually take down a basically a Marine turned terrorist holding a hostage situation at the Rock, and the only way they knew around, and then the only way they were going to find a way how to get around the Rock was um, was to hire obviously none other than Sean Connery's character, Mason, who's a British expatriate, of course, and obviously a guest at The Rock. But I just wanted to say, the first time I ever saw Sean Connery in the movies was actually in You Only Live Twice. That was 2001. Um, I just had gotten to the Bond theme, and I think I played the movie when I first watched the movie. I think I watched it like 3 times. Um, I was actually very impressed. I was actually a very big fan of Sean Connery when I first started watching the film. So you guys can take it from what you will. And I always seemed to prefer. And when I was younger, I always seemed to prefer Sean over Roger Moore until I saw Live and Let Die, and then it completely changed my opinion. And I went on this whole tangent over the next like 3-4 years or something like that. Being a Roger Moore fan, because I always thought Roger Moore was funny, um, but yeah, as you know, as you live in, there was a couple of good ones in Moore's era. Live and Let Die was good. Um, Man with the Golden Gun was good. Spy Who Loved Me was good, but right after Moonraker, sort of changed a little bit. When he got into the 80s, late to mid 80s, when he did Your Eyes Only, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy. Yes, that is the name of a movie. And then View to a Kill. I hope YouTube doesn't censor me for that, for the second movie name. But then again, it's a James Bond flick. I'm obviously not referring to something else, of course. Um, um, female body part, female equipment, reproductive equipment. So um, the internals, I'm referring to a movie title, YouTube. If you're gonna blank my and stuff. So um, I always um, I always thought it would be funny that my first ever film was him in Japan, seeing as I have an affinity for liking things all Japanese. So um, so yeah, I watched that movie 3 times, and then I watched Doctor No, Goldfinger, Thunderball. Um, you Only Live Twice. Of course, I've seen like a million times. I think I watched it, and then Diamonds Are Forever. I was always a fan of, um, even though it was supposedly his last one before he did Never Say Never Again, which was obviously a Thunderball remake, of course, in the 1980s. And um, my impression is it didn't do so well since Octopussy was obviously around the same time. And Roger Moore, of course, was in, and Sean Connery was aging, even though both of them were up in that age range back then. Um, the thing was, though, I think Sean was 3 years younger than Roger. So I think Roger was born 27, Connery was born 30, hence why he was 90 years old today. Um, I watched all those. I watched the Bonathons every year when I was in middle school, and that was one of the draws of actually Thanksgiving, and the Bonathon of Thanksgiving and Christmas was always fun to watch. Just just those couple of days during just those couple of days during the Thanksgiving vacation and Christmas. When you had those 4 days off, when you had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, you cherish those 4 days like crazy because you watch all the Bond movies and you eat and you stuff yourself, and during Christmas you open your presents and you stuff your face again. So um, it's funny that you only have 30 days before you stuff your face again. So, and then 30 days before you actually watch a lot of Bond movies, but the Bondathon's playing like that week, and you're always watching the movie. You're always watching the same movie like 3 times. I think my first Bondathon, I think I remember watching Thunderball like 3 times because they rotated them every day. And they only did Connery. They only did Connery, Lazenby, Moore, and Lazenby, and yeah, Connery, Lazenby, Moore, and Dalton. That's all. They didn't do. Well, they did. Did they do Brosnan? Yeah, they did Brosnan at the time because this was back in 2003. Brosnan only had GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, and oh, actually, when I actually first saw the Bonathlon, I actually, yeah, the end of the day, just come out. The year it did just come out. Well, just come out. Well, didn't come out till Die Another Day didn't come out till 2002, 2003. I can't remember. But all I remember is that was so I remember is that was the final one before we got Daniel Craig, obviously in 2006 with Casino Royale. So yeah, I remember watching all those movies like 3, 4 times, and then there'll be some days where they just play Dalton and Brosnan when they wound it down, they would play Never Say Never Again a couple of times, and then you'd be done. But my favorite movie of all time of him, I mean, I loved You Only Live Twice because it was my favorite film because it was Japanese related. But anyway, Goldfinger will always remain my favorite. Will always remain my favorite. Just just the story, the writing, how simple it was, the car, obviously the Aston Martin DB5, and the plot was really interesting. Um, it was just one of those things, and the story was well done. The locales were well done. Um, it was sort of um, it was well done for its time, and I always thought Sean Connery was just one of those things. But I just didn't know him as James Bond. I also know him as Marco Ramius. Obviously, for those of you who watch Hunt for Red October, good espionage, great military movie. Um, the Rock's also another good one. Another the cop thriller, The Untouchables. Um, Jimmy Malone as helping Elliot Ness couch or Al Capone. What do you prepare to do? Favorite line. My favorite line of all time is when they're in the church and he's sitting there and Elliot Ness is just got his rosary out and he just sits there and he goes, "So you want to know how to get Capone, Mr. Ness? What are you prepared to do?" And Ness is obviously like, "I'll do I'll do what I need to do within the law, and with everything in my disposal. And then and then he goes, what? And then what you're gonna do?" Um, and he goes, "I don't know how to get him." And he goes, "I'll tell you again." He goes, "I'll tell you how to get him. He pulls a knife, you guys pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way. That's how you get Capone." Um, I always thought that was completely. I always thought that was just Sean Connery, and he was like, and but of course the real sad scene in that whole movie is when the gangster comes in with the knife and he goes, "Sorry if there's a racial slur here, but I don't mean anything to the Italians. It's just the dialogue." So he goes, "Oh well, a guy who brings a knife to a gunfight. Get out of here, you dago bastard!" And of course he gets pummeled with 45 Tommy rounds by Nitty, um, who I won't say who dies at the end. Who I won't say what happens to him. I think I just revealed it right there. You'll have to watch the movie if you guys haven't already. Um, and how could I forget him as Dr. Henry Jones? I remember the first scene we ever saw him, old Sean Connery. I remember Ford's stunt double crashing in and him cracking him over the head with the priceless vase, which was actually a fake. "Junior," he goes, "Hey, Dad," and he goes, "It is you, Junior." And then I remember the Nazis walking in and going, "Dr. Jones, you have the diary in your pocket." And he goes, "Would you expect my son to be that stupid to bring my diary all the way back here?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he looks at him and he goes, "You did?" And I'm like, "I should have left it with the Marx Brothers so it wouldn't fall into their hands." And I'm like, the Marx Brothers? Are you kidding me? The communists? But, Um, and then, of course, Marco Ramius, of course. We're gonna test the U.S. and the Russian fleet. The Caterpillar. It was, he was always he was always good with, you know, I can do somewhat Sean Connery. I'm just not laying into him quite as much. Um, I can do older Sean Connery. Younger Sean Connery, it's harder to do because of his accent. Well, I guess yeah. See, well, it's very hard. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to do. I have the voice for him. Well, Money Penny, I'll have to definitely take you out for dinner tonight, and I'll make sure to bring the wine, the 51 wine, and make sure to bring the caviar, and I'll bring the car around 5. See, I can do somewhat, but I can't really do older and younger Sean, to be honest. No, I think that we're on the way to. I think that Oh, I think that we're on the way to a funeral. Um, Everybody gets. My friend Tom, who's probably will watch this. Yeah, I can do young Sean if I wanted to, but I usually can do older Sean. Um, so, um, but yeah, I want to give Sean Mr. Bond, 007, Mark Aramis, Dr. Henry Jones, and um, Jimmy Malone a moment of silence because it's Sean Connery starting now. All right. So I just wanted to say, rest in peace. My thoughts are out to his family, obviously. Um, a great movie icon, great humor, always the lazy man in the movies, always trying to impress the women that he was in. Usually, usually talking to them, or usually talking to them in his ever ever impressive, always impressive British accent when he wanted to go. And then, of course, when he got later in life, he started sounding like this, that sort of thing. Um, but Mr. Connery, Sir Sean Connery, Sir Sean Thomas Connery, you would be missed. You are an icon to me and to a whole generation of guys who wanted to always watch the coolest spy in the world. And I always thought he was always cool as a spy. He was always a great thing, and he a great guy, and obviously very charitable man. Because he always gave up to it. Because I think he gave to a trust in Scotland for young actors, and he was I and he always had great one-liners. I think one of the craftiest ones is when Domino in Never Say Never Again splashes into him, and she goes, "Oh, Mister," and she goes, "Oh, sir, sorry, did I get you wet?" I'm like, "No, I might be wet, but my." He goes, "Oh no, I may be wet, but my martini's still dry." So yeah, he was always good with a pun. I just always thought that was so fun. No, you got me a little wet, but my martini's still dry. So I always found that one always amusing. So, um, or my name is Bond, James Bond, that sort of thing. And of course, the legendary silver DB5, which I have which I think I have in the, where do I have the DB5? Oh yeah, where do I have the DB? Where's the DB? Um, do I have it up there? Um, I have it up there somewhere. I do have the DB around here somewhere. Either yeah, I don't have the DB, but I was always a big fan of, I was always a big fan of the Bond films and a bunch of his espionage, anything espionage related. So, um, do I have it over here? No, I don't. I do have the model. I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah, I do have the DB5. It's been around for many years in my collection, so it's up there somewhere in my collection. So yeah, I leave you with that. So rest in peace, sure, Sean Connery. Rest in peace, and dude, you inspired a generation of people, and you definitely gained a bunch of enthusiasts. So me included, and I actually converted my friend Tom into a James Bond fan, but I knew he was always a latent James Bond fan anyway. Um, so it was great. So yeah, he's inspired a generation. Some great lines, and just that great accent that you should have. It was always imitatable, that sort of thing. But yeah, um, I'll see you guys later. Peace.